Have we been spending some money?
Yep.
Yeah. Did we all enjoy the case panel? Yeah. Well, you're about to see something very, very special. For the 40th anniversary, we decided that an awful lot of the stuff that we wanted to focus on was, just the brand itself and the people responsible for building it. So a lot of the more traditional fan panels that we would do, we decided that we would, keep in our back pocket for another year. And then Colin messaged us from out of the blue and was like, I really want to do this. And it's really interesting. And I was just like, yes, this is so cool. You are about to be taken on a tour of something that is so niche and so unique. I didn't even know it existed. But it is truly, truly fascinating. So I hope you all do enjoy. Just a quick announcement before I invite Colin to the stage to start taking you through this. If somebody has lost an iPhone, please head to the registration desk. Also as well, after this panel, because I don't want you going out afterwards, what was the registration desk, that has now been turned into a chill-out room. There's games available for you to go and play as well. So if you want somewhere quiet and just relax and chill out, that is available to you. So, without further ado, to take you through some fascinating history from the world of Transformers, please welcome to the stage, Colin!
Hi everyone, it's a great pleasure to be here. My name is Colin. I use he, him pronouns. I'm from Ottawa, Canada. I've been collecting catalogs for about 40 years. I had a job at a variety store in my hometown of Nova Scotia and was able to steal them out of the garbage room. So that sent me down this odyssey. So I have some notes just so I don't go too far over. But I'm really excited to be here. The focus of the presentation is going to be 40th anniversary. Appropriately, it's 1984. We're going to go into 1985. There might be a couple times we have to go over to 1986, but let's start. And let's start with the big question, which is, what are we talking about when we talk about a catalog? So in the 1980s and 90s, we meant the old catalogs came in the mail. In North America, we're talking about retailers like JCPenney and Sears. And usually you get a page like this of Transformers, maybe two, maybe there'd be some other stuff in there, some GoBots, some He-Man, some Turtles, and you get to see your favorite things. I think that might be the mistransformation of Optimus Prime that David was talking about earlier during the welcome ceremony. So, yeah, they were great to go back to because you can see what the things went for at the time, right? So, Thundercracker is $12.99. Autobot Warrior Sideswipe is $9.99, etc. There's the cover up there as well. You might also think about these things. Those are the inserts that came inside all the packaging. Like this one. Here we go. This is the Canadian one, so it's got English and French on it. Exactly the same otherwise as the American one. And you've got all of the cast of characters for 1984. Just a quick thing about the Canadian one is that because we're a bilingual country, we have the French names here, and they weren't always the same, because we didn't know who Optimus Prime was. In this case, it's Megatron, but there's an accent. Optimus Prime is the same, but it's not Soundwave, it's Radar. It's not, who's a good one up there? It's not Ratchet, it's going to be Meccano. So there's a whole bunch of different names in there that's kind of interesting from a historical perspective. What we're actually talking about are the catalogs, though, that Hasbro and other retailers or other manufacturers did this as well, is they would send them off to the toy companies themselves. This is before the internet, so this was a chance for them to show their wares so that somebody from, again, a Sears or an Argos would come in and buy boxes and boxes and boxes for Christmas time, for birthdays, and whatnot. They're a treasure trove of prototypes and running changes. So let's get into it. 1984. So we know the beginning. Hasbro rebranded Diaclone and Microchange changeable robots, complete with an intricate backstory, to launch the Transformers in 1984. That's the original catalog. I have the copy up here. If you guys want to talk to me afterwards, I can show you what it looks like. And then we got the table of contents. You can see it's very heavy on sort of preschool toys, a lot of girl toys. We've got My Little Pony in there somewhere, I think. And then we've got the main two boy lines, G.I. Joe, and Transformers. Just to give you an example of how things were starting out, G.I. Joe by this point was in its 3rd year, so it had about 22 pages. Transformers, just 10 pages. So the press would be written to move this product. So a lot of emphasis, prepare for out of this world sales excitement. It introduced the factions, it introduced the concepts, it talked TV ads and promotions, it talked major licensing. All those things a retailer wants to know so they know that they're going to be able to move the product out the door. So Hasbro led with the 11 deluxe cars and 6 mini cars. As you can see, Hasbro also lays out the detail of each of the assortment. So in this case, down here, it'll tell you that every case pack gets 2 Mirage, and everybody else gets 1 each for a total assessment of 12. And also, you'll notice up there, the Ratchet has the first aid, the Red Cross on his back, which was a running change where they phased it out. I want to show off 2 particular pieces. We all know about Blue Streak. We all know that that was not the toy that we got. In this case, they didn't go with Blue Streak as their prototype. They went with the silver Blue Streak with the black hood. And interestingly enough, this is minor, but Sunstreaker has the Diaclo shoulder rockets in red as opposed to yellow. So we move right on to the Decepticon jets. Interestingly set up with 1 long rocket and 1 short rocket, and then Soundwave and the cassettes, which sounds like an 80s band. We have a 2-page spread for Megatron. I cannot imagine doing a toy like this today at all, but this was it in all of its glory. And then, of course, Optimus Prime, Autobot Commander. You'll notice down here at the bottom, it talks about each entry having attachable weapons, a bio card, a tech spec, a decoder. It provides the box size, the weight, and the packaging assortment. So people knew how many they had to get in. That's good for big retailers. The retailer that I worked for was a single store, so he was only going to get a box of Optimus Prime. He was probably only going to get a box of like the mini cars, a box of the jets, because he couldn't run through them fast enough, or couldn't run through all of them for the small population. So this translates really well into retail, as you can see. My friend Esteban redid this ad. He's on Instagram as Gobagatron. So he restores old ads that he gets on microfiche. This sort of gives you an example of what everything looked like around 1985, so you get the 2 eras. And then this is one of the in-house ads that they used in various trade publications, just showing off the line and getting the word out there so that folks could put in their orders and Hasbro could make the money that they want today. We saw this also in newspaper ads. This one is from Eaton's, which was a chain in Canada that's no longer with us. It was November 1984. And you can see already that Hasbro is pivoting. They're getting ready for the next line. So they haven't introduced these characters officially in a catalog, but we see the introduction of Grimlock and the Dinobots. We see Shockwave, and we see Jetfire, and we see some other ones up here. You also see some of the other stuff that they had going on, some of the Light and See stuff, Transformer stamp sets, Transformer stampers. One of the other things that retailers used to do is because color ads were so expensive, they would hand draw basically an outline of the toy, almost identical to the picture on the page, and they would give those in catalogs as well, and they would send them around to various retailers. They would then cut out those little things, put them on a piece of paper, photocopy it, and send that off to whatever newspaper they want to advertise in, just to bring in the business. It was a quicker way for them to do the ads. It was a way to sort of promote the toy line with retailers as well, and it made the retailers' lives a little easier. As you can see, it's exactly the same as the other catalog. It's just basically a hand-drawn summary of the whole thing. So here are the cars, and here are the mini cars. I keep calling them mini spies, but that's something else. A blow-up of a couple of them. Depending on how much emphasis that Hasbro or another toy company put behind a particular toy, they may do different sizes because that would allow them to do different size advertisements. So we have the jets, and as you can see, we've got two of each of the jets, and both their transformation modes. We've got 3 examples of sound wave in slightly different sizes. We've got the cassettes. That's a blow-up of the 3 seekers. And again, you can see, just like in the other catalog, they keep the one long missile, one short missile. We've got 3 examples of Optimus and Megatron. And then, of course, they wanted to make sure you got the logo in there for branding purposes, so you had a couple of different examples of that, different sizes, Autobot and Decepticon. Hasbro was also very forward-thinking. They were like, we're going to give you the taglines, we're going to give you the little space that you can work within. And at the end of the book, I didn't put it in the script, but they actually put like 0.00 with a dollar sign, so you can actually go in and say, it's going to be $9.99, it's going to be in this particular font, and then we go forward from there. And this is what it actually looked like. This is a microfilm. So you can see Mattel did the same thing with Masters of the Universe. Trivial Pursuit has one, Tonka has theirs for their Tonka trucks. Not the best scan after 40 years in reprints, but you get a sense of what they were doing and how they went forward with it. So that's from the Toronto Star in November of 1984. So now we're going to get into what I particularly like. So Hasbro certainly started Transformers in North America, but it certainly spread around the world. And one of the best examples of its expansion is in Italy, with Transformers. So before Hasbro reimagined Diaclone and Microchange, Italy's Geek launched their own line in 1982 based on Takara toys. In the absence of a Geek catalog, because you can imagine how hard that would be for me to track down, I turned to pulling color adverts taken from an Italian Disney-based comic digest called Topolino. So we've got Jazz and we've got Hound here. We've got Smokescreen and Prowl. They're not quite Autobots yet. We haven't quite made that transition yet, but they're on the same shelves. They're contemporaries with Transformers. Then we have them leaning into the Microchange origins. We get the recorder robot, complete with the cassette man on the chest, with the molded chest piece, and including the headphones. You'll notice as well, if you look at the rocket in there, it's a completely different thing than what we got in North America. It's this spongy little robot, rocket, because of course, because it was still the Takara issue, it had a lot more kick to it than Soundwaves actually did. We also have Super Radio Robot, who may be my personal favorite. Again, the red with the blue chest. I'm not 100% sure about this, but I presume, given this down here, that it operates very much like the Takara one in that it was an AM radio. We have Dinosauro robots. So we've got an early Grimlock, we've got an early Slag. You'll note, I don't know if you can see it because of the quality of the print, but you'll see that they've got blue on them instead of the reds and the blacks that we got. Very much like Hasbro did in 1985, when they're like, holy crap, this is a popular line, we got to get all the changing robots that we can. Gig did the same thing, and so they went out and they got these out of left field Microchange bots. So we've got Dino-Man and we've got Mega Man. These were actually Takara toys. They just didn't get picked up by Hasbro. Even stranger are these ones. There's 4 of them, and they were actually released in North America under the Converter banner. So we have, hold on, Slot Machine, Roulette, and pardon me if you're Italian, because my Italian is not great, Registratoire di Casa, that was his name, and Flipper. So we get the Chrono Transformers as well. We get this gun. I can't imagine a world where this would work in 2024. But we also get the car that is also a watch. What is a watch? And then, of course, we get 3 versions of Megatron. We get what becomes Megatron, Gun Robo, Walter P-38, Gun Robo, Magnum 44, and then the black version of the Walton P38. And then my favorite, one of my holy grails, Canyon Robot Convoy, which was the original Takara release of Ultra Magnus. There are stills out there of the movie in which Ultra Magnus is done in these movie colors, and then converted into the more common white and blue that we know today. I just threw this in just to sort of give you a sense of the time period. This magazine doesn't have dates at the bottom of it. I was able to flip a copy over, and so this gives you a sense of at least the draw was over on December 15th, 1984. So these are all ads that were current in the 1984 year. Skip ahead here. Moving forward, gig shifts to Hasbro products and labeling, or retaining their distinctive Transformer brand, in this case featuring the Commander, as well as excavators and the dino robots Bronto, Tyrann, and Stego in more familiar colors, very much like the French names. They came up with Italian names for these dino robots. And then we'll go back to my favorite again. We've got Convoy, and then we've got the more recognizable Ultra Magnus Convoy here. Again, we've got those weird rockets. These ones are black, but I'd like to get my hands on those. So obviously, come all the way to TF Nation. Got to answer the question, how was this marketed in the United Kingdom? So, and I'm really excited to talk about this because it took me so long to find it. There's a toy museum in Rochester, New York. It's called The Strong, the Museum of Play, and they have a copy in their archives of the 1984 Hasbro UK catalog. So back in the days before global distribution chains, a foreign toy company would license a property to a domestic manufacturer for distribution. So we've seen that with what Takara's partnership with Gig was like, and we've also seen it with Palitoy and their relationship with Hasbro on G.I. Joe, turning it into early Action Man and then later into Action Force. But a company could also employ a branch plant within the target company. I like to think of it as sort of a form of toy colonialism. It's something very familiar to Canada, where Hasbro Canada literally distributes identical product, the exception being that it's language specific, so English and French for our markets. In this case, Hasbro went ahead and purchased the Knickerbocker Toy Company in 1983 as a means of toy distribution throughout the United Kingdom. But there's a catch, which is that Hasbro has its new branch plant, but its biggest toy line domestically is still G.I. Joe, which is still licensed to Palitoy. So, as a result of this, Hasbro won't have a 3 3/4 inch action figure anchor for its UK-based operation until 1987, after Palitoy closed its doors in 1985. Although, you'll see that we get My Little Pony right off the bat. And what you'll see that's really interesting here is we get My Little Pony, we get a couple of things. We get Glowworm, we get Knight Rider, and we get the Dukes of Hazzard. So this is what Hasbro in 1984 is running for your market. Rollin' Rats, Dukes of Hazzard, Knight Rider. And that's it. But what if I told you there was more to this catalog? Because those sneaky guys, what they did is they stuck in this little insert at the back page. And this little image pops up. And it promises a major new concept in boys' toys with a promise of massive TV support, heavy comic advertising, and continuous program support. Because even as you read this, Earth is about to be invaded by a powerful alien race who has already wreaked havoc in far-off galaxies, and yet hope still exists in another alien race who has built equally powerful robots to stop these evil Decepticons. Robots who are good and who want universal peace, the Autobots. So this message might have been very meta. Our friends from Infinity have already programmed our own industrial robots to produce even more Autobots, presumably to sell the products. But clearly, the unique art and the accompanying copy helped wow a generation of retailers. So leading to the partial release of the 1984 line in the United Kingdom. So this includes the 6 mini cars, a somewhat under-promoted Optimus Prime, and the Decepticon Strike Quantus, which didn't catch as a title, but I think is kind of amazing. And if you look at them up close, you can totally see that they're still the Diachrome version. We don't have logos on them. We've still got the F-15 Eagle stickers on them. We also have Skywarp over there. And then this Curiosity, which is, Cliff Jumper is yellow from the perspective of Transformers UK, Hasbro UK. So, we have 6 of the Autobot cars. The other 5 did not come out over here, or at least didn't come out in terms of the catalog. It's entirely possible that this was just a taste test, and that as the line rolled out, they would introduce the likes of Ironhide and Sunstreaker. We've got the cassettes, and then we've got our leader Optimus Prime, more appropriately shown off in all his glory. What you'll notice as well is that the case assortment for Optimus Prime in the UK is a little bit smaller than it is in North America. It was 6 per box in the US and Canada. It's 4 here. So, we'll go right into 1985. And we will finally get to Takara and the market of Japan. So having adopted the Transformers brand from their own product, Takara launched their own Autobots and Decepticons domestically for the first time in 1985. And they kept the same artwork as we used in North America. The Takara launch was kept to the back 3 pages of the Toy Fair catalog. It includes Optimus in the left-hand corner, Megatron down here, who manages to keep his sword and is a slightly different color. Perhaps because Ironhide and Ratchet are clearly mech units, which doesn't work with the concept of sentient robots. They were left off. Also missing from this assortment is Gears and Sunstreaker, but we do see the inclusion of the mail-away reflector. Of course, Takara would use the beautiful blue streak, just making us salivating for a toy that we can't get our hands on. And then there's a blow-up of the reflector. You also get to see the prices that were suggested for them. So I can't do the exchange with British pounds, but 1,980 yen is roughly about $20 Canadian. Probably about $15 American. This is the back page. So we have a number of additions to this line. Earlier we saw Red Alert and Inferno. We have the Dinobots here, including Red Slag. We have the Insecticons, we have Blaster, we have Perceptor, and we have the Constructicons. And of course we didn't get some things in Japan that we did in North America and in Europe. We didn't get Jetfire because he was licensed to a different company. We didn't get Omega Supreme because he was licensed to another company. The Deluxe Autobots, Whirl and Roadbuster, and the Deluxe Insecticons. They also took a chance to introduce their Watch Q line, which is a nice tag back into the US market because Takara was still marketing toys in North America, and they were using the Watch Transformers as their vehicle for this. So that's the cover. This little spread is interesting because what it does is it, for the first time, links Chronoform, which was their brand, directly with Transformers. And my favorite in this is the triple changer, which is the watch, the car, and the robot, or the jet and the watch and the robot. Although there's nothing wrong with having a calculator on this. You guys, of course, got this magnificent ad, 1985. Featuring the line that time. A couple things about this. Personally, I love this because my 2 favorite characters are displayed on the secondary page. Also, I love the idea that you can put this up on your wall and just sort of look at it every morning and be like, oh, I'm gonna, nag my parents and try and get them to get me Megatron or one of the jump starters. So, pre-toy fair is a chance for retailers to sort of introduce new product before actual toy fair. So it tends to be these smaller catalogs, maybe about half the size. They're sent to retailers directly, and they're a bit of testing the market. What you find in a lot of these pre-toy fair catalogs are toy lines that don't go anywhere. So, I'll give you a good example. Not Visionaries, but Air Raiders was one that was in the toy fair, pre-toy fair catalog, and it didn't get picked up for the next year. Laser Beast is an example of that. Cops in 1990 is another example of that. But by this point, we're rolling. This is the most financially successful year for Transformers. So they're going in, and they're going in hard. So we start with the Constructicons. And just before I go on, I want to say that these pictures are courtesy of the Obscure TF website, which is obscuretf.com. So you've got the Constructicons in all their glory. You've got the regular Insecticons. And I think at this point, I don't know if it's a camera, but I presume what it is that this is just a slightly darker, clear plastic window. We have our jump starters featuring top spin down here in transformation mode. I think this is really interesting because these are clearly prototypes, and we haven't quite gotten the names yet. We've got Plane, we've got Tank, we've got Doom Buggy, we've got Hovercraft, and we've got Spaceship. I mean, imagine going to battle with those names. And then, of course, if you look over here, Hovercraft is actually broken a bit, but he's got a yellow propeller. Spaceship has got a completely different head. Warpath is probably the most unique as a prototype toy. We have the Decepticon planes again. I'll show you I'll enlarge to this one a little bit, but you'll notice that the colors are very different. And then you notice down here with the Autobot cars that Skids is missing. So you have this nice assortment of 6, 2 per pack, but no Skids. And that's a closer look at the three jets and the different colors. The reason they've thrown in the regular Seekers ones is because those ones are at retail. They've had the packaging ready. They don't have the packaging ready for the heads yet. We have the Dinobots. We have a red slag again. We have the official launch of Shockwave and Jetfire. Because those are on the market right now, we have examples of their box art. So, and then you see, 12 per case with the Dinobots, 6 with Shockwave, and Air Guardian Jetfire gets 6 as well. And I'm sure the reason that Swoop is so rare is because probably the assortment is skewed because you're trying to take 5 robots and put them in a pack of 12 and the division just doesn't quite work. Earlier on you would have seen that Hoist is slightly different. It's using the Trailbreaker mold with the traditional Hoist backpack, and then of course we have red slag. So now we're going to move right into Hasbro 1985. I'm just going to scroll ahead because I've been ad-libbing. Here's our cover. So if there was ever a year to put Transformers on the cover, you would think that it was 1985. But the line has never been featured on the cover, either the front or the back of a Toy Fair catalog in the United States during its 7-year run. However, Hasbro clearly responded to the success by doubling the product number pages, and that's even before getting into other items. So they're moving into promoting the line a little bit further internally. So we've got a couple of books on tape. We have the famous Listen and Fun assortment with the proper release of Yellow Cliff Jumper. But you can also see that this is where we got the red tripwire from, and then a Barrett on the My Little Pony. I find it really interesting because in a case assortment of 12, retailers are getting 3 tripwires, 3 hubcaps, that's a Freudian slip, 3 Cliff Jumpers, and 6 My Little Ponies. And I don't know if they came out in the United Kingdom, but in Canada, the red trip wire you were tripping over in the retail. You just could not sell them. Nobody wanted it. This is not necessarily a Transformer thing, but you'll see the mock-up here, which is kind of curious because you've got Flash in the figure, you've got a completely different card art for Ripcord, and then you've got the G.I. Joe tape itself. There were art books, so these are pencil by numbers. There were 4 of them for the Transformers. You'll see as well, they're doing the same number for G.I. Joe. And if I had shown you this stuff for 1984, you would have seen that stuff for G.I. Joe. No sign of Transformers. So you really have a sense that, you know, Hasbro was supportive of the brand, but they were willing to cut bait if it wasn't a success. These are really neat, color view. So you've got Slag, you've got an appearance by Skid, maybe making up for the fact he didn't make it in the pre-Toy Fair stuff, and you've got Grimlock. You've got Light Bright refills, and you've got this beautiful painted Grimlock. And then we move right into the toys. So we talk right off the bat. We've got more than meets the eye, #1 toy in America, a unique line of distinct advantages, advertising and promotional support. In 1985, each character includes a secret liquid crystal labeled or a rubstone. That's to tell them apart from the competition, because of course by this point everybody was into changing robots. You already had GoBots in the market, but you were coming in with converters and 5-star, or 4-star rather, and a bunch of other rival companies that were just trying to take advantage of the juggernaut that was the Transformers phenomenon. So you move right in here, we've got final product for Power Glide, Warpath, Cosmos, I'm missing 2, Sea Spray, and Beachcomber. And then we've got the Constructicons as well. We've got the regular Insecticons, and we've got the Bandai-based Deluxe Insecticons. We've got the Jump Starters. This time they're showing off Twin Twist in this transformation. And we've got Astro Train and Blitzwing. Let's just take another look at Astro Train. I understand from the TF Wiki that this was not a transformable toy, that it was actually just a static toy. It's interesting as well because the accessories you have in his hands are from Blitzwing. And then of course they went so far as to put Astro Train on the nice diorama they had to introduce in Honda. We have all of the larger cars, so we've got 18 cars at this point. What's interesting down here is we've got an assortment that has grapple, hoist, red alert, and one of each of these 6. Skids is getting short packed. And then we have another assortment which is Smokescreen, Infernal, and Tracks. Again, 2 per piece. And then we've got the other 6. So Skids was always getting the short end of the stick when he was released. We've got the Dinobots. Do we have? Yeah, we have Slag in his correct colors. We have Blaster, we have Perceptor, and we have Soundwave and the Cassettes. And what's really interesting about Blaster is that the face is slightly different than what we're getting. Same sculpt, but different paint job. We have the Jets. We have the Deluxe Autobots. We have Megatron. We have Optimus. We've obviously moved on from them. They don't get their full page. They're getting a quarter page, sharing real estate with each other. We have Jetfire, we have Shockwave, and we have Omega Supreme showing off the walking motion. He is 6 per pack, talking about the television adverts that they were putting together for him, so ready to go. So, let's go to West Germany. 1985. So Transformers in West Germany were put out by Milton Bradley. This is what the catalog looked like. It was an insert to a bigger catalog. I've never seen the rest of it. I mean, this is really all I care about. It's about 12 pages. It's brilliant because it is specifically focused on Transformers. I do not read German, but you get a sense of what the assortment would have looked like. We have the jump starters. We have the second wave of mini bots. We have a mystery paint of Cosmos there. We have the Constructicons. We have the regular Insecticons. We have the Deluxe Insecticons. Except the Deluxe Insecticons are completely different colors. My favorite of the four is this Deluxe Ransack. But we also have the same for Barrage and for Chop Shop. And then a slightly different Venom. We have the Coneheads, we have the Triple Changers, and we have the Dinobots less swoop. But what's interesting here is not only do we get the prototype Astrotrain again, we also get the Takara original colors for Blitzwing. So the white instead of the more traditional brown. We have Blaster. Again, we get this blaster that reminds us of the gig release. I presume that it does not have the radio in this one, although this mock-up does. And I presume as well that when West German kids opened up their presents on Christmas morning, they got the blaster that we were more familiar with as opposed to this prototype. We get Megatron, interestingly enough. We get Soundwave, we get Shockwave. And we don't get Optimus Prime. We do get Jetfire. So Jetfire clearly had his work cut out for him as the leader of this motley group of Autobots. Interestingly enough, this is an American catalog. This is JCPenney Winter Catalog 1985, so their wish book. And you'll notice that they also could have gotten the gray and purple Astrotrain, but also the pre-Takara Blitzwing. You'll also notice down there as well that they have a walkover. You have the triple changing launch. So let's go into the United Kingdom for 1985. And of course the big hit is Glowworm. And it's not called Baby Alive, Real Baby. So Hasbro makes it happen. We finally make the table of contents at the very end after Knight Rider. That's not uncommon. They would lead with girls' toys, they would end with boys' toys, and they would usually put the big one at the end as opposed to in the middle where it would get lost. Bolstered by Transformers, My Little Pony, and Rollin' Rat, Hasbro makes it happen. So we get a slightly smaller version of the stunning artwork we saw in 1984, featuring Skywarp and Blue Streak. We also get to highlight the introduction of the Dinobots, the Insecticons, and the Jumpstarters. There's the setup for the 11 mini vehicles, returning to Toy House. Interestingly enough, we have this weird misprint here on Cosmos. You can clearly see that they built the spot for the rub symbols, but they haven't put them out on the market yet. And I think in the next slide I'll show you a close-up of what Sea Spray looks like, Beachcomber, and Warpath. And then of course with the cards. So, just not quite there yet in terms of final product. We get the cards, sold in 2 assortments. Curiously, in 9 per assortment, and I don't know what the breakdown would be per assortment. What we do get to see is skids, which is nice. We get an unpainted Trax head, and then we get this slightly different hoist with a black mouth guard instead of a silver mouth guard. We get the regular jets, we get the cone heads. What's interesting here is, I guess, when Hasbro sent them over to the UK to do the photography, the accessories didn't make it with them. Now, personally, I love Dirge, and I love the fact that they've used Skywarp and Thundercracker accessories to make them. But you'll also see up there in the corner, we've got Blitzwing and we've got Astrotrain. And again, Astrotrain is in his pre-Toy Fair prototype book. We have, again, the Insecticons. We have Soundwave and the cassettes. And then, interestingly enough, his debut is advertised as the cassette. We have the Jump Starters. We have Red Slag and the Dinobots. Again, no screw. But we do have a bit of blue on the Grimrock. When I say these things out loud, I'm like, really? Am I really that far in the weeds? Yes! Yes, I am just that far in the weeds. We have Optimus. We have an official picture of Leader Gun Megatron. What I love about UK promos, though, is that they do the Autobot Decepticon symbol, and then they remind us that one is heroic and one is evil. So those are some examples of what the promo stuff would look like at the bottom, and this is a sort of a unique ad that we have. Now, this is a good chance for me to mention something. I think there's been tickets going around, right? We're going to do a draw at the end of this. One of the things I have up there is a reproduction of that ad. It's on a tin, and so that's one of the prizes that you basically get for an endurance test. Because this is a marathon, not a sprint. Let's go to Brazil. So Estrella got the rights to redo Transformers in that market. And when you have artistic license, man, you can do some really cool toys. So you see the Jump Starters down there. You've got Saltman X and Saltman Z. You've got two different colors of them. This one doesn't look much different, but it's actually black instead of blue. Down here you've got blue instead and yellow, blue and red, white and red. And then you've got the 6 mini cars. You've got Volks, you've got Camaro, Jeep, Sedan, Pickup, and Carrera. And then you get two colors for each. You get the more traditional North American, European color, United Kingdom colors, and then you get the, where they take their artistic licenses. So those guys. And then we don't get, thank you. I have it on my notes, but I knew I was going to forget it. Instead, we get bumper in two different forms, and not even the yellow one that we're used to getting occasionally. We get it in a blue and in a white. One more page of stuff. We get remote control Porsche, Export, Jeep. Those are non-Takara releases. I don't know their origin. We also get a game featuring our lovely stand-in for Cliff Jumper, and then that's an example of the box art. These are also images all available on obscuretf.com. So, coming up to the end of the presentation, hey, I did good. We got select licensees, 1984, 1985. There were like 35 licensees, which you're going to see in a minute. That's an example of a trade ad from Playthings in 1984. You get a sense of all of the very different licensees you've got here. You've got everything from American Publishing to Wormser Co. But you've got Nasta, you've got High Flyer, you've got HD Toys, Coleco, Diamond Toys, which is different from the one now, Coleco College Film, which was the Halloween costumes, the flammable ones. Not safe for use now, but pretty awesome. Viewmaster. So Viewmaster is really interesting because finally Transformers gets the recognition that they deserve, and we see them up here on the cover themselves, right there. Does everybody remember Viewmasters?
Yeah.
Okay. Amazing. I don't have this one myself. It's a grail on my list. But for Transformers, you actually got the complete set. Now, I don't think there's any difference between what you got for a Viewmaster here. It's just basically packaging. But still cool nonetheless. Moving to Coleco. Coleco, obviously, ColecoVision, they did the Atom computer, but they used to do a lot of these power cycles, the 16-inch power cycles. For Transformers, for the license, they actually did a transformation gimmick. So if you look down here, you can see the change into a Transformer. High Flyer was a kite company, so this is a nice way for Prowl to get airborne and keep line of sight on all of his enemies, both good and bad. Avira was a subline of Hasbro, so they did some products. In this case, the one that they did for Transformers is the Transformers toothbrush, so Optimus Prime, because good dental health is good at all ages. And then NASA, I don't have a NASA catalog for 1985. They didn't have any product in the 1984 catalog. But you can see all the wondrous things that you had. You have this amazing AM wireless microphone in the shape of Megatron. So you can imagine like pointing that at somebody going like, I just need to get to your radio station. You've got the AM sort of transformable radio. You've got the mini headset, which is in the shape of Enemy, which is basically a red version of Frenzy or Rumble. You've got the electronic intercom telephone system, and you've got the walkie-talkies. Another ad that was done by Go Back. This is cheating a bit. We're getting into 1986, but I thought it was worthwhile to talk about the action cards. There's, I think, 182 of them out there. The lovely thing about these cards was, of course, that you could see one of the characters or one of the action scenes that you were getting. So it made it easy. At least if you were missing one or two, you could at least go in and go through the packs and get them. Prohibitively expensive now to get, but they also did them for My Little Pony and for G.I. Joe. So, that's the end of the presentation. I just want to thank a few people. Raymond Huffman, who passed away early this year, great friend, great neighbor, first boss I ever had. I wouldn't be doing this presentation if I hadn't had access to that stuff, so thank you. So thanks to him. David Sleeman, who is senior director at Museum of Play, who let me play in his bailiwick. Esteban at Gobacatron, longtime friend, loves this stuff. The stuff he does for archival stuff, he should have awards. Matt and Andrew at the Obscure TF site. James put me up to this, and I'm so grateful that he did. Brian Hickey, who does some amazing stuff for Skeletron and Totally Toys. If you're into Action Force, like the stuff that they're doing on that side is amazing. Jim is just such a fountain of knowledge that I've absorbed so much from him over the years that I'm sure it's crept into the crevices here, just like with the wiki. I want to thank Billy, I want to thank David, and I want to thank all of you for sitting through this. We made it through 40 minutes, I think, so I think we're pretty good. That's how you get in touch with me. That's my email address. I have 2 Instagrams. Toy Catalog Memories is a little out of date, but I'm pledging to you that I'll update it with some better pictures and whatnot. I can be found at Fairplay Events. So, thanks very much. And here they all come. So you have your tickets, right? All right. No, that's fine. You have the hard job. I just have to walk around the stage. Oh yeah, I'm ready to use my bag. Awesome, thank you. All right. And the next contestant on The Price is Right is 0051 5656. 5656. Do we see somebody? Come on up to the front. Come on down. Here's the next contestant. Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll let you pick your prize. And so I should have said this first time. So what we have is an English edition of the Rodimus Prime Remembers the Transformers Greatest Battles on Earth. It's an insert piece. Some really cool stuff, but it was basically advertising dead stock. We've got the fantastic metal picture of the year. This year, there'll be no stopping the Transformers. Space between Transformers. And then, appropriately enough, this is a 1996 catalog for Toy Fair. It's just the boys catalog. But what's really interesting about it is it's the first year of Beast Wars, and it does have, I think it's the prototype of Tigertron. So, come on up, pick one, and then we'll draw another one. There you go.
Happy birthday!
Okay. 00515503. 5 3. Yes. Can we come to you? Okay. I can do that. They gave me a headset. Thank you. I did more. Perfect. Thanks so much. One more. 00515669. 5669, right there in the back. Okay. There you go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Do we have any time for questions or?
No.
No. Great. I love this. Nobody can stop me. Thank you again. Thank you.